Hello and welcome to Body by Bego 8-week program. I'm Jacqueline Bego and welcome to my studio. So I just wanted to explain a little bit of the program you're going to be going through and that you guys decided to go on this journey with me. And I am so honored. And I just want to explain a little bit about what the mindset is, what we're really going to be focusing on, and some of the core fundamental movements that you want to be able to make sure that we're doing. So, calisthenics is basically a little bit of body movement and getting a workout through that. So, very, very minimal amount of equipment and that you would need, and being able to control the body and have awareness to the nerves that go to those muscles. So, with that said, a lot of it comes down to posture and being able to have that posture when you're laying down, when you're standing up, when you're inverted, when you're in that plank position, and laying flat on the ground. So those are some of the core big movements that we're going to have. Some of the equipment we are going to have, are going to want to have. You don't necessarily need to have these, but I'm going to be using them a lot. And as far as basics go and taking care of the body and maintaining it, is going to be taking care of the range of motion. Range of motion is the joint's ability to go through where it's designed to go. So there's a big difference between range of motion and also where your motion is, or where you have the range in that with the flexibility. And so flexibility and range of motion are different. Flexibility is how flexible you are through those movements, and range of motion is pretty much how we as humans are designed to go through. So that is my biggest thing, making sure that we can take care of pain and making sure the body is properly aligned. So some of the equipment you're going to want, and if you don't have, that's fine, but foam roller. I'm a huge fan of the foam roller. The foam roller and most of the techniques that we're going to have to take care of your range of motion fall under the category of myofascial release. So there is static stretching, which is typical stretch, like, okay, we're going to hold and try to touch our toes with a flat back, with everything performed properly. That is an example of the stretch. If I were to do this with, to take care of the same hamstringer movement with a foam roller, that would be me having it on the ground and maybe going through those hamstrings and getting the area within that hamstring that is really tight, or that actual muscle. So it's kind of like, you know, when you poke a muscle and you're like, oh man, it doesn't hurt here, but right here, it's killing me. So those are Golgi tendons, and those are kind of active nerves that are kind of just going kind of crazy in the area, or they've had a lot of damage, or muscle that is needing to be repaired. A lot of times also they're called adhesions that are there. It's kind of like getting a little bit of scar tissue buildup, or just kind of that scab that's there. So we want to make sure that we're getting everything rolled out through there, because as we're going to be moving through every rep, we are creating tears in the muscle, which is what we want. It can't build without getting a little bit of broken, right? So we are going to do it in a very good manner that won't cause any extra pain, but build you up in the proper way. So a foam roller is fantastic. I'm a big fan of having a PVC pipe, a broomstick, any type of shower curtain rod, anything that you can do that's going to have that, where you can start going through range of motion, pulling it. There's so many fantastic things that you can do with that to start elongating some of the muscles. So a lot of times when we get back and compression on our joints all the time, we got to make sure that we are getting that posture alignment nice and tall, getting everything to expand. And this is my second favorite tool that I think is fantastic for anybody to have. Because if you're ever going to want to use the big barbells that you can see over here, or any movement or anything big, you're going to want to make sure that you can control just a PVC pipe. Because if you can control that, it means you can control your body. And to be honest, my biggest thing is, why the hell are you picking up any other weight if you can't even control your own weight. So that's what we're going to want to focus on. Also, some of the equipment I really like for a little bit more myofascial release, because the foam roller can't quite dig into it. Typically, you can have this stuff at your house, so some of it is to be a little creative. Lacrosse balls are always used in like CrossFit. People talk about them a lot because they have a nice, hard, then with a little bit of softness to them. So lacrosse balls are fantastic. Tennis balls, those are a great one too, especially if you're working in the neck and bony areas. I'm a big fan of having those, or a baseball. One I love for the feet and little areas that you're going to kind of dig into is a tennis ball. Good pro tip, keep a tennis ball in your freezer if you are someone that your feet hurt or you've been doing a lot of running or on miles, because this can go in there and really dig in between all the metatarsals that are going in there. So this one's a great one too to have. I have another foam roller too. It's a small one. Some people really like the ridges. I know that like CVS and other places like that have those. I'm a big fan of getting the 6-footer. This is not foot, but getting a bigger one so that you can go across the entire spine and get that rib cage opened up. So I got mine on Amazon, and I think it's an Amazon basic one, so they kind of keep those in stock, which is great too. And then last but not least, a towel, a belt, or a strap. Any of those are fantastic so that you can pull through those range of motion too. Also, so you can lay down. We're going to want it so we can pass through, which is great too. So you don't always need to use PVCs whenever it says pass-throughs. This one is great. So you can be on the ground, pulling up through that hamstring, also going up off to the side, which is going to be huge because the hamstring is a bunch of different muscles that we're going to be focusing on. And that helps us get through that range of motion that you're pulling through everything really, really well too. Also, having it behind the neck, opening up things is really great. So that is basically the amount of equipment I use. If you want to be adding dumbbells to this, which I do have some stuff that requires reps if you're wanting a little bit more of building up some of that mass if you need to, but not required. So want to go over some of the movements, and just so that you can also be aware and start thinking of some of the things that we are going to always be focused on. And I'm going to show a little bit of drawing here that I do. And so you have your postural alignments here, okay? So this is laying flat on the ground. If you can't have where you're laying flat on the ground with your shoulder blades, your head, your shoulder blades, and your pelvis, where you can tuck the pelvis to get the back nice and flat, and then going in the knees to the feet or on the ground with your hands up overhead and laying flat in that alignment too. So sometimes we see this. Sorry, you're kind of hard to see with the, okay? Then you want to make sure that you have that tuck, and then you're also opening and be able to close that rib cage. So diaphragm awareness of opening up that rib cage up nice and small to tuck the rib cage, tuck the shoulder blades in, and then also the hip tucks and opening. So hip tuck and glute activation in there. So that's laying flat on the ground. Then we have standing. Good postural alignment, okay? So that is your hands up above your head through the ears lined up, right onto those shoulder blades. The shoulder and the rib cage and the pelvis are stacked on top of each other with the tuck, glutes activated, knees and feet. So if you can have really good alignment with those shoulders, if you can't quite get your arms up above, that is something I definitely want you guys to be telling me, that you don't have quite shoulder range of motion yet to be able to have that straight, perfect postural alignment. And then the inverted of that. So we've got our right here we've got the hands. We'll talk a lot more about the spider hands, where the pressure should be when you go inverted, making sure they're on the knuckles and not through the palms. Palms don't have balance, just like your heels don't. If you were to stand just on your heels, you're leaning back and your body's gonna do the work. To have your feet do the work, just like your hands, you're gonna want that in that middle of that hand. So the postural coming right through that, right through the ears. Again, finding that same rib tuck to that pelvis, and then the feet going right straight above. A lot of times you'll see people kind of go with it back here. That's called the banana. That is no good, okay? So we're gonna make sure everything's nice and lined up. Then in the push-up position, prone down to the ground with your face here, you wanna make sure that it's the same thing. So this is basically laying on the ground. You're gonna go up to the plank or that push-up position, and that making sure that you can have your arms right in, tucked to alignment to that middle of that chest, okay? That's where we want it. We don't want them out here to do push-ups. We want them here. So elbows tucked, nice and tight with those hands in there. And again, making sure that we're pushing through the fingers to the knuckles right there, pushing through. So again, if you don't have good wrist range of motion, and like I said, that spider hands, let me know. Okay, these are easy things to work on that can be done also on a daily basis. And then also when you come into that plank, that's going out to that full extension. So what do those both look like when you're on the ground? Okay, there you go. That's where you can see me. Okay, so you're down here on the ground and then your chest is lined up, okay? So you get everything nice and set first. Get your hands here. And like I said, you can see my fingertips. You want to be able to pull them up. You can't quite get them up off the ground. Like I said, that's things of work that we can work on through range of motion. Elbows tucked, hips, getting that rib cage aligned, those shoulders tucked into place. The hip tilt of the hips, glutes engaged, and coming straight up. And you can see I don't stop here. A lot of people stop with that push-up or that plank here. It's actually through full range, is getting that nice almost round of that shoulder blade and right here. So this is also where we're gonna start a lot of those positions, getting those wrists warmed up, that you can even go through getting them through that range of motion. So everything is always going to be stacked. So I'm not here with you. So body awareness, making sure, I don't care how many sets and reps you get all-star. Good job, you can get your gold star for completion, but let's grade you. I want to see perfection. I'd rather have you get a 90%, 80 to 90% right on that form. The only time we should have to see that form start breaking is where exhaustion's starting to hit. So those are those last few reps. But everybody, I can tell you, those last few reps, easy to quit on. Easy just, let me get that push-up. Let me get that push-up done. Okay, or you just take that time, and you might only get 1 rep instead of getting 5 more. So, no one else is here to judge you, it's you. So, let's get this done, guys. I am so proud of you coming on this journey with me. We're gonna take some before and after flex pictures, so I'm gonna wanna see clean clothes that are close to your body. We're gonna wanna make sure we get that front picture. You're gonna wanna make sure you get the back. I wanna see the back too. Ladies, if you can take off your shirt and just have your bra, that's even better, so we can see the full shape that we're dealing with and what we can do to build up certain muscles. I can also see alignment and where your body is too. So then we also want to get the back one. And of course, you can't have a before picture without flexing and showing off your guns, right? So I want to see all that, guys. Thank you so much for joining. You will get your emails every Sunday for the 3 workouts to do a week. And sometimes it happens. I understand you don't quite always get the 3. You always have your slips training, which is your fourth day. That's also fantastic if you're gonna go out and be doing cardio or activity. So you can come back into your slips training. You don't need to do much. One set matters. 20 seconds hold of your slips. So your slip training is SLIPS. So you have got your scale, which is holding that leg up. Okay, so you're gonna try to hold that 20 seconds forward, both legs, and then backwards, okay? Holding that balance. It's balance work. Balance can come and go. It's one of that kind of final ones that goes very, very quickly, especially with aging. So I want you to make sure that you're working on your slips on both. You can see where my weaknesses are too. So slips training, making sure that you're going through that. I should have sent you a great video, but I'll make sure I send another one because fantastic trainer out there that explains it, that I use for it. L sits, where you get to pull everything up off the ground and hold. Ideally, if you can have your arms out. And then your inversion work, wherever that may be, your wall walking, or you're off on a box. Might even be here just at a plank level, holding that. P is your planks. We just went over that, so hold that plank. Any variation of planks. You want to do side planks, Spider-Man planks, any cool ones that you've seen, cool, rock it, do it. That last one is always stretching out those areas that are talking to you. So stretching, range of motion, flexibility, guys, is everything all-encompassing and getting that perfect postural alignment. If standing and getting a good posture is challenging for you, we always want you to think, making sure that you're keeping your head up. We're not doing this too much. We're not just kind of, and when we're driving, being too lazy, sitting up nice and tall. All of it matters. Every second, every rep. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. But I promise it all matters. Think about where you want to be in a year from now. Would your life look different if you were able to do a handstand hold? Would your life look different if you could just get all of those reps or running everything that you want for those goals to be achieved? So, pain-free, good posture, be designed how we're supposed to, guys. Thank you. Give me as much feedback as possible. With your workouts, you'll get the 3. Always do them in order. So if one week it's really hard where you actually fall behind and couldn't quite get 3 in, you're going to start that next one up right on that last third workout from the previous week. So don't skip any of them. They're all designed to be worked up to your pace. So when we finish, it will actually be more than 8 weeks. It'll be closer to the 9 to 10 weeks to finish off everything, to get your final workouts in, because what you're doing the first week, you're going to be doing some max testing, like a max hold for as long as you can, because you're going to circle back and come back to those at the end so you can see the progress that you've made. And I want to know how well you guys are doing. Always check in after every workout. I want a text that said I got it done and with how many sets and reps that you did. I know that you might not be a big counter or you're not doing it for that, but I promise science matters, okay? Just like anything. Testing is not, we don't guess, we test, okay? So that is the same mindset coming in to your workouts, guys. Thank you, God bless, and let's